Play for me, please, the sound of the sports media gas bags that nobody wants to hear me talk about the sports media, because there's a sports media story that is just breaking now that I do believe is super interesting.
Do you get annoyed every time Dan Le Batard pontificates about the sports media industry? Well, too bad, He knows you don't give a damn about what he's gonna say. It's time for sports media talk today.
So I have told you, and Juju has reprimanded me on this, because he has said, man, Dan, nobody wants to hear about how much money media people are making. A lot of people are struggling out there. They don't want to hear about Stephen A. Smith's contract demands. But I happen to find interesting that in our time, the person who is at the top of our profession is now being offered, reportedly at ESPN, the highest salary in the history of the company for a talent. It used to be for John Gruden at $6.5 million, but the explosion of everything that's happened has made everyone realize, oh, all these talent are super undervalued, even though everyone listening to this would say it's ridiculous for anybody to be making the kind of money doing this nonsense that people can make. ESPN has offered Stephen A. Smith the highest contract in the history of the company, putting him ahead of Joe Buck, who is now the highest paid employee, who doesn't have to do as much as Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith is reportedly countering with, that's not enough. $18 million is not enough. I want $25 million. That's what's being reported. $25 million a year. And power, by the way. It's not going to just be money. He's going to want power and a bunch of other things, because he is the modern-day Howard Cosell, whether you like it or not. And beyond sports, he's got conquering ambitions, because he is casting a wide net, going on Fox, making sure the audience is as large as it can be as he heads into the leverage of negotiations, because he can do this for more than $18 million a year on his own. He doesn't need ESPN. You know how I know that? Chris Cody's worth $25 million a year. Like what we've been paid the last 3 years.
A lot more work that goes into it.
and the fourth one, like our thing is worth what Stephen A. Smith is asking for. So
I think he deserves it.
It's a ridiculous thing to say.
It is, because he's the entirety of that network. Their entire daytime programming strategy is around him. This is, you're right. This is another one of your diversionary tactics. But game on.
I got you.
Yeah, you got me.
I got you.
But he is the straw that serves their drink. He sets a table for all the rights that they have, unless it's the Stanley Cup. So what I would do if I'm ESPN is I would pay him $10 million for every sport he can actually cover, because the daytime programming on a game that they have, their coverage was Mike Greenberg asking Udonis Haslem what he thought about tonight. This country is headed in to a World Cup in 2026. What the do you think is going to be happening on that show? Let me. What do you think is going to be happening on that show? Because it's more likely to be Dak Prescott than it is to be about the World Cup. That show is limited. It is very limited, and it does what it's limited at exceptionally well. The greatest daytime sports show ever, because he is the greatest sports talent ever. But it is very frustrating. And it works against ESPN's overall best interest. I understand college football makes a lot of money. I understand pro football makes a lot of money. I understand the NBA makes a lot of money. And they haven't exactly figured out how to make a lot of money elsewhere, except just putting the game on. But they should take a note from what's worked well with Stephen A. Smith. If you have engaging, great, talented personalities that can speak with a wealth of knowledge, they can get you interested in games. They can get you interested to watch that. ESPN is wonderful at producing these packages that'll make you care about stuff. They do it every college game day. I just wish that they weren't just a two-note entity.
ESPN is an excellent sports partner for the reasons that Mike Ryan is stating, that all day long there are infomercials with credible personalities just getting you to the next games and increasing your addiction to all of the things. But Mike is also right in his criticism that those morning shows have been abysmal covering hockey, because the people on those shows don't know what they are talking about when it comes to – well, but what – has happened with hockey and the ratings with ESPN now engaged has been an explosion of people realizing how wonderful these playoffs actually are, because elsewhere on the network, they are better partners to hockey than they are to baseball by a lot. The baseball people are dying at ESPN because they clearly do not care about the sport, but they care about hockey more and believe in the future of hockey more and spend as if they believe in the future of hockey more. But the morning shows aren't equipped to talk about this well. Pat
McAfee is equipped, and you're seeing, I genuinely think that the rise in interest in hockey, which is up 61% over the entire continent here over last year, which is a different series and whatnot, and it was cable television, but it is up, and I think that is really because of visibility, because guys are going on main ESPN, because Barstool Sports is aggregating, because shows like ours, because of our platform, and because of what's happening locally, is you're seeing an increase in the base, and they can do that. Pat showed you what he can do with the NHL. Stephen A. shows you what he can do with the NFL and Dak Prescott and all that.
The NBA.
The NBA, certainly, even though that's kind of leveling off, but they're going to get a ton of money. I just wish they did it for the other sports, because sports are great. Look what sports has done to us. This, if we win, will be remembered as a great time in our lives, or the worst.